I'm Rob, and today we're at the Ship Inn in Owslebury. So the ship was built in 1681 in the reign of King Charles II, and the reason it's called the Ship Inn, despite being so far inland, is because the original pub was built from the timbers of an old sailing vessel, and you can still see them actually in the old bar. Anyway, we turn our back on the ship and we walk up into the village of Owslebury. And this was the old village shop. So a nice community in Owslebury. I know that back in the summer they had a scarecrow festival, and they have it every year, and we took our grandchildren, Thomas and Sophie, along. They loved it. The whole village is sort of lined with scarecrows in odd places, very good ones too. Anyway, this is St Andrew's Church, and by the church we have the War Memorial. And this was the old schoolhouse. So St Andrew's is open, so we'll go and have a look inside. It's a lovely floral display, and it's got 6 bells in the tower, so it can give a 6-bell peal. Lovely traditional wooden pews, good old Victorian organ, and lovely stained glass. Not quite sure of the age of the church. I was speaking to a lady in the churchyard. She's done some tidying up of the bushes, and she thinks it's originally 12th century, although obviously it's been a lot of modern Victorian stuff added and bits through the ages. But yeah, the original church, she believes, is 12th century. It's a pretty little village church, and it's lovely that it's still got all the wooden pews. As many of you know, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, and I like to see that rather than plastic chairs. Anyway, we continue on down the path. And this path, as you might have noticed on the sign, is called the Pilgrims Trail. And the Pilgrims Trail runs 155 miles. And it runs from Winchester, the cathedral, all the way to Mont Saint-Michel in Normandy, in France. Although you can cheat on a lot of it because you'll have to get on the ferry, unless you can walk on water. So we're heading for a gate in the corner of the churchyard that will take us off into a lane in Owslebury, and we're going to turn right along that lane. Now the name Owslebury is very interesting actually. The bury part of it is easy, it's a fortified place, and the Owsle part, after you've done a bit of research, refers back to the Old English of Owsle or Ousel, which is blackbird. So the name of the village actually means a fortified place with many blackbirds. Of course we're on the South Downs, so we're quite high up, so that would lend credence to the idea that there was some sort of fortified, probably earthwork or something around the village. Anyway, we carry on. So through the gate we go. Now there is another long distance path that runs through Owslebury, and it's the Monarch's Way, which we're on here, and that runs 615 miles, and it's to trace the route of King Charles after his defeat to Cromwell at Worcester in 1651. So that's another hefty one, but it doesn't involve a ferry. Anyway, time this right and you could enjoy an exciting bit of motocross, because as you can see there's the old motocross track laid out on the hills there. I'd imagine it'd be very noisy and very dusty, but also very exciting. Anyway, our path leads off to the right at this point. So we follow the line of the hedge around. Yeah, keep following the line of the hedge. Now that the map puts it that side, but it looks like most people go down this side, so rather than wear any more paths, I'll just follow this one that's already made. They're away from the cows anyway. And then it's going to bend round to the right and follow the line of those trees once they're through the gap. So at this point the farmer's put in a handy little finger post, and you can see you walk in 4 directions. Now, our direction is up the hill. So the walking conditions underfoot are brilliant at the moment. It's firm under this grass and it's lovely. But if you're going to do it in the winter, be warned, this field in particular gets very, very muddy. So you'll need stout legs and strong wellies. Anyway, continuing uphill. Somebody's done a very, very good job of making some hurdle fencing there. So as we crest the hill, we're going to do our very best to stay on the marked path across the field as it drops down to the Baybridge Road. Lovely rolling Hampshire countryside, and in the distance you can see the downs of the Isle of Wight. Lots of maize over there. So there's our goal, bottom right hand corner of the field by the cows. There's a gap out onto the Baybridge Road. Now this situation here can be very dangerous. There are several mothers there. You can see 2 of them have turned around to face me and looking to see what I'm up to, because there are calves, they have their calves there. So I think what I'll do is I'll let them walk out of the way, because those 2, and perhaps 3 in particular, look very defensive. Now they're walking off. Thankfully don't see me as a threat. Let a few more walk through and then I'll go on down. Now if you've got a dog with you, then please, 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 please put it on a lead, because that will make them feel very threatened and you'll find yourself charged by a herd of cows and trampled, which sounds very funny, but they're heavy beasts and it really is serious business. So there you go, they've all passed through safely. I've shown them I'm not a threat and left it till the last minute. Apart from this poor old deer here, I don't think she's got any babies. She doesn't look particularly bothered about keeping up with the herd. Doesn't look much of a threat to me either, but there you go Daisy, off you go. Anyway, through the gate onto Baybridge Lane. So turn right onto Baybridge Lane and we're going to walk up to the T-junction. When you come to the end of Lower Baybridge Lane, we turn right at the T-junction, signpost Owslebury. Then pretty much immediately we turn left onto the bridleway. So as we walk along the bridleway, to the right we find this. We find school children and a zebra. He's just gone behind the bush so you can't see him. And that's because this is Marwell Zoo. Now Marwell Zoo is actually on an old estate. Goes back to the 14th century when the first Marwell Hall was built, and that stands at the centre of Marwell Zoo. The current building's from 1816. And then the zoo opened in 1972 by a chap named John Knowles, and it's about 140 acres in total. But anyway, we'll carry on walking along the footpath and I'll tell you a little bit more. Now, Marwell Hall, during the Civil War, the English Civil War, was inhabited by Roundheads. And in 1644, there are about 60 Roundheads at Marwell Hall. Now, close by in Winchester, there are about 200 Cavaliers, or Royalists. They went on a drinking spree one night, or one day, I don't know, probably during the day, because with their beer goggles on they thought it would be a good idea to ride on Marwell with their 200 Cavaliers and give those Roundheads a good old pounding. But it didn't actually work out that way for them. They rode on Marwell, but the 60 Roundheads got the better of them. That just shows you, drink impairs your ability. And the triumphant Roundhead commander was Sir William Waller, if you're interested. So as we skirt the edge of Marwell on this path through the woods, I'll tell you a little bit more. There's a couple of local legends to do with Marwell Hall. The first one is that Jane Seymour and Henry VIII were married there. Don't know whether that's true or not. But the other one is the famous Bride in the Box saga. Now, just about any stately home you go to, this tale is repeated, so it's probably no more true of Marwell than anywhere else, but they say there's a haunting because of it. Anyway, story goes, Lord Lovell was marrying a young lady at Marwell Hall, and the lady in question got bored with all the dancing. Only so much dancing you can do in your high heels after all, isn't there, girls? She got bored with all the dancing, so she decided she was going to play hide and seek with her groom. So she went off into the house and she climbed into a wooden box, thinking, he's never going to find me here. Well, she was right, he never did find her there, because as she put the lid down on the box, the spring lock closed and she couldn't get out. And despite banging and shouting, nobody heard her. Eventually, many years later, somebody opened the box to find a skeleton dressed in a wedding dress and clinging on to a sprig of mistletoe. There you go, how's that? You believe that, you believe anything. Anyway, we continue around the perimeter of the zoo. You get little glimpses in now and again, and I'll show you them as they come along. So being a bridle way, even in this dry conditions, it's challenging. I think I'll go edge around the side. So the name Bridle Way derives from the Old English bridle way, which means the place where the damned horses have churned up the ground so much that poor walkers with white socks and only walking trainers, possibly can get very muddy feet or brambly legs. So that's a lot, isn't it? Old English bridle way meaning that much. Like I said earlier, you believe that, you believe anything. So you cross the entrance road to the staff car park at Marwell, and the bridle way continues as ever around the edge. So while we're still picking our way through the bridle way, I'll tell you another secret about Marwell, and that's out on the road beyond there is an old hangar. It's painted green now, I'll try and get a picture later on my way back home so I can put it on at the end of the video. But anyway, this hangar is to do with the fact that between 1941 and 1944 there was a airfield built up here to take the pressure off of the activities that Cunliffe Owen Aircraft Factory were doing in Eastleigh. Obviously Eastleigh Airport and the railway were taking a pounding from the German bombers. In fact, Cunliffe Owen were terribly bombed at one point, and tragically many men died in there. So obviously they wanted a quieter place out of the way where they could test the aircraft, and they made an airfield here that operated between 1941 and 1944. Anyway, as you can see, this bridleway is a bit tough where there's not mud, there's stingers. This time of year it's okay, you can kind of pass with care. As I say, in the winter, this is another one of those difficult places to pass. And we dip back into the bridleway. We cross over the main entrance to the zoo to follow that bridleway there. But just a quick pic of the main entrance. Marwell Wildlife, Marwell Zoo, whatever. There's the admission prices if you want those. And there's the entrance into the park. It's a good visit, it's nice, well worth a visit. And right opposite too is Marwell Hotel. Now if you live a distance away, then come and do one of their zoo breaks. It's great, you get a cheap hotel room, and you can go into the zoo, make a weekend of it. You can come on this walk. But it's a lovely hotel, and I promise you it's a hotel the likes of which you'd never have stayed in. It's like a safari lodge, and it's not expensive either. Anyway, we'll leave the cute but smelly otters and we continue down the bridleway. We're just continuing straight on down the bridleway. So keep going straight at the signs. Lovely trails you can explore. But as I say, we're going straight on. So a lovely bit of woodland we're walking through on the edge of the Marwell estate, and you'll come to this divide soon. The left path leads down towards Hensting and the right path leads down towards Water Lane and back to Owslebury, and we take the right path. Look at that wonderful fungus. Beautiful. Autumn now, so you're starting to see the fungus come up. Over in that direction is a place called Hensting, and it's interesting with the Old English derivation of names and things. I mean, ing is easy. Ing means the place of. It's the people of. So the people of Henst. Now, I like to ignore the T in Hensting and think it's the people of the hens. Some oldie worldy ancient Britain followers of poultry. Some might say they're still like that down there now. I wouldn't say that, of course. So these are very ancient tracks. You can imagine those cavaliers riding down here to go and get a whopping by the Roundheads, can't you? Of course, Marwell Zoo, also known as Marwell Wildlife sometimes, is, or was, one of the first zoos to concentrate on conservation rather than exploiting the animals just to make money from the public. They've run several successful breeding programs to help endangered species. So as I say, it's well worth a visit. And this is well worth a walk. This is a lovely walk along here. hard at work. And crops in this field. And here we are, well, coming back into Owslebury now. See some signs of civilization. So when you emerge out onto the junction, to the left there, if you want to come back with your bike, is White's Hill, and a lot of local cyclists like to pit themselves against White's Hill. It's very steep, good training. But unless you're some sort of masochist and you want to walk down there, in which case go ahead. The rest of us will turn right at Boys Farm and head back up to the ship that you can see there on the left. A nice big garden in the ship. Plenty of room on a summer's day. Ye gods, the size of that pumpkin! And there's not many pubs. I have one of these. Great place to bring the boodle. Let's go grab a drink.